Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I want to go ahead and give the mic to Miss Brianna Williams.
Hi, I'm Brianna, and I am a business owner of B&M Compliance and More, where I help truckers get their authority and be in compliance on the road. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to hear everything that you're willing to give me for tips and tricks and tools. So I'm all ears.
Love it.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more with her a little bit later as well, hearing what she's got going on and who brought her to our table talk. So excited about that.
Awesome. And then I want to go ahead and pass the mic on to Miss Maria Garcia.
Hello, hello, good evening. My name is Maria Garcia. I work for Academy Bank. I'm a business development manager, and I'm just happy to be here, cover for Miss Anissa.
Amen. Thank you. We welcome you for being here with us. We're definitely gonna thank you because people are just calling and saying, what's going on with this banking thing? So again, thank you, Mr. Whitney, for saying, hey, I know some people, y'all, our business leaders, we know some people to at least give us some answers. And so Miss Maria, thank you so much for being here. And we're gonna come right back to you. Let's do this for just a second. Yes, she can. It was an amazing event. And Mr. Whitney, it was so funny because of some of the guys, when we were coming back, Miss Bree, myself, and Miss Paris, we went. And so we were coming back just saying, hey, it was great. It was great. They were like, hey, I didn't get that invite. And Mr. Whitney said, it was for the lady. So they didn't want to. But we appreciate you because it was good stuff. So please, I'll give some tips. But Mr. Whitney, you got us there because we didn't know about it. I mean, you told us. So tell us your take from it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, she can conference. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. This is a conference that's actually been in existence, I believe, the last 4 years. This particular year, we had the COO and the CEO of Nove Money come in town. This is a company that I work with to service my clients. It's a Black-owned financial technology company based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So we were very excited to welcome them to Kansas City. Also, both mayors, Mayor Gardner on the Wyandotte side, on the Kansas side, and Mayor Lucas on the KC Mo side, both attended as well, and many other pertinent people. The objective of the conference was to focus on financial fitness, specifically for women, whether you have a job or you own a business, just focusing on how you can be better as a woman and be successful and having that camaraderie amongst women to support each other and to encourage each other to be great. I was just happy to be there as one of the facilitators in terms of just making sure everything was going great and making sure things were going smooth. Special thanks for LaDainty Timmons and Nelson Gabriel. They did the yeomanship of work to make that happen. They are also affiliates with Nove Money, so we're on the same team. But I was happy that my smart money team came and supported, and hopefully you guys got jewels yourself. Hopefully you got value yourself, and I would love to hear what you guys got from the experience.
Absolutely. So we're going to do that too. And Miss Paris, we know that you're engineering, but we know you got some good stuff too. I'm going to start us off just with some of I've asked this several of us to give like top two or three. We won't, because we learned a whole lot. So we won't tell it all right now. But there were some things that we took notes. And so, well, I don't know about everybody else. I took a lot of notes. And it's funny because the COO, she was saying, don't just take these notes and go home and put them up. I got to do something with these notes. I'm like, I am. And we're going to share it. And so I've got like a top 10 on my paper, on my notes, but I'm only going to give a couple, y'all, because they were so good. And she started off by just telling us we need to change our appetite. And in regards to being financially fit, changing our appetite. So as she kind of went down, talked about that a lot. And it was the big thing was that we got to make sure that we're kind of figuring out like not just what we want to eat, but not just how much we want to eat as far as how much business, but who are we letting feed us? And that was deep because we talk a lot about, support systems and networking, and everybody's got some advice for you, don't they? I mean, and everyone really means you well. Most people mean you well, when they're trying to give you information. But it was like, you got to really figure out kind of the what you want, how much you want, where you're trying to go. You got to change your appetite. Because everybody don't need to be at your table trying to feed you just like the word. Everybody can't give you the word, because so I'm gonna leave that right there. So my second one was, and of course, Miss Bree's gonna come back. She's laughing at me. We were so excited, you guys. We were just like the kids in there. And it was we had church, and not just that though. I mean, this was like people were really pouring into our spirits of y'all can make this happen, but you need to get up. So the second thought was make a decision to learn from others. Stop focusing on the others who are trying to hold you back. So we all know about the crab in the bucket syndrome and all that stuff. And sometimes we're trying to, want everyone around us, our friends and our family, to be so excited about our personal goals, our business goals, that they'll be the first one saying, you can't do that. Why are you trying to do that? Don't be leaving me behind. So that was interesting, but she talked more about it. And my third one was definitely pull up your peers, even the ones that are naysayers. You can pull up your peers and, the people that are the naysayers or whatever, say, that's okay. I'm still going to go. And don't be trying to convince them of what you're doing, but say, that's okay. If you want to, you can come with me, but you got to be careful who you bring with you. Sometimes they'll weigh you down. So those were just some things that hit personal and business. And one of the things that I thought a lot about, with business is that sometimes we're trying to pull people along with us. We might want friends and family to be our employees. And a lot of with that comes the brick and mortar, the cost of running your business. But also, you got to pay these people, because sometimes people, they might come and help you for free. They shouldn't, because you should pay people what they're worth, and you don't want to pay the experts to do what they do. That's important because it brings me all for the past 2 or 3 days. I think we all been hearing about this whole banking crash. I keep thinking, so as I expand my law firm more, you expand, your trucking company, Miss Brianna, I know you'll talk more about all that later. All of our companies, we got to have money. We always talk about, capital and how do we get capital. But with this banking crash that happened, I had so many people calling saying, okay, this sounds good, but what about my money? Because they're watching people lose money they're watching people think they're losing money on TV. I mean, everyone's saying, I can't make payroll. I mean, that was the thing we kept hearing, can't make payroll. So with that, I kind of just shouted to our business leaders on deck and said, we're getting these questions. This is serious stuff. We always talk about how do we get in position through our credit, through saving, all of that, to be able to get money to build our businesses. But it looked kind of strange to me, like, are banks safe? And so I'm going to throw that ball to Mr. Whitney now. And I want to thank him because he just said that, I'm not a banker. So I couldn't answer these questions for people. That's why I was asking my business leaders. And he reached out to Miss Maria at Academy Bank and others there. And if you will, Mr. Whitney, talk with us for a moment about that thought, and then you'll bring Miss Maria in and we can maybe ask a few questions together.
Absolutely. That's why we brought Miss Garcia on, so she can go in depth about the banking question. I reached out to Nissa Brown, who's a VP with Academy Bank, which is a community bank. As soon as Ms. Val, went into that question about banks, and you guys shared those articles, and I was like, we need to get a banker on tonight. At least one. We need to get a banker on that can address some of these questions because of the events that happened today. So Maria, we are so thankful for you to join us today, and we would love to, pick your brain on some of these questions.
Sure, my pleasure. I'll try to answer the best of my knowledge. So what would those
Excellent.
questions be?
Okay. So the question I've gotten from, I'm going to stop, even not, don't do business for a second. I have a lot of my friends, relatives from Colombia, places. And so they know we're doing this smart money show. They're like, okay, so should we take our money out of our banks? And they are like local. They're not like the Bank of America's. They're like local, like central banks, some of the smaller banks, or community, credit unions. So people are scared. Should they be moving their money out of the banks, Miss Garcia? Like, what would you tell me or us? I know we don't maybe know exactly for every bank.
Okay. So my thought is that they might not be paying attention to the piece that or the importance of understanding FDIC coverage. So they need to pay attention if the bank or the credit union they have their money in are FDIC covered. So from my understanding, each signer on account it's covered up to $250,000. So let's just say I have a customer who comes in and brings in $1 million to the bank per se, right? And he will ask me like, how do I go about having all this $1 million covered, right? So my suggestion to them will be, okay, well, do you have any other signers? That would be the first question. And if Mr. Client says, oh no, it's only me, then I'll say, okay, well, why don't we get three beneficiaries that we could add to this account, and each beneficiary is covered up to $250,000. So that there will cover the entire $1 million in the bank. But it's very important that they ask if they're FDIC covered.
That's important because about an hour and a half ago, first, I only knew that the one bank failed. I didn't know about the other one until this morning. And so that made me watch even, failed, but meaning they came in and took it over, the feds did. And so
Right.
with that coverage, thank you. With that coverage, what they were talking about an hour and a half ago anyway, this news channel, it wasn't CNN, it was anyway, whoever it was, but Yahoo Finance. So what they were talking about though is they were saying to diversify, they were actually telling people, like you had said, $250,000 is only $250,000 per, but they were saying per bank. So they were telling people if you have $1 million to actually basically go to find other banks. And my thought was that's kind of can be confusing too. If there's another way, like you just suggested, that they could do it better. And I like what you said, because when they said that, about the limit, and I got it, but that's a lot. Because then what if, you use a lot of your money and then you got to go to another bank, ask them to transfer it to the other bank and all of that. So that was pretty
Right,
good. Miss
right.
Bree.
There is a website who anybody could go in that website. It's www.fdic.gov resources deposit insurance. So if you guys go in there, and it's kind of like you create a dummy account, so you just put on there who do you bank with, what type of accounts do you have, what balances do you have, and it will tell you exactly how much money is covered under the FDIC insurance.
Yes, yes. No, the amount you said is what everyone has said. So they were just saying to move it. I thought that was just cumbersome. So with FDIC, they were saying so because they kept talking about with the tech, which the SBB bank, SBB, that it helped a lot of tech companies, startups. So people were saying, so they know their bank covers FDIC stuff. So why did people pick a bank that did not insure the deposits? Is there a benefit to that of some sort? Why would
I
they?
think, no, I believe they did have insurance. I think they were FDIC insured. Problem is that, like you said, they give out startup loans, right? So they invest a lot in the tech. So what happens? Bitcoin and all those tech websites failed. So the bank, I mean, I think they had a really high percentage invested in that. That's how they were, making profit. So when the economy crashed, well, not the economy, sorry, when the Bitcoin dropped, then this is what happened to the bank. But they were insured, as far as I know.
Okay, no, thank you. because and it could have been Signature Bank, one of them. They were saying that some of them weren't insured, which
Oh,
is
gotcha. Okay.
like
Well,
some of
like I
the. Go ahead, please. I'm
right,
sorry.
I'm so sorry. Like I said, I think what happens is,
Good.
they could be approached by individuals with money, well known or influential. And it could be a quick, I mean, it
Mm,
seems like a quicker process, but eventually it's not. So they kind of disguise, whether they are insured or not. So that's why it's extremely important to make sure they're all FDIC insured. And myself, and in the bank, in the branch where I work, we have signs all over. And I usually tell clients, we FDIC insured, and I kind of guide them and, tell them how can they insure the most possible amount.
because I don't want to lose that money. I mean, please,
Right.
Mr. Whitney, Miss Bree, Miss Brianna, because I think about with business owners, any questions you guys, because I will talk. Y'all know I will talk. And so I appreciate, because I think of, so as people are watching and everyone, especially business owners, they're getting a little scared now because they're like, okay, so they talk about the interest rates now may make these business loans be even higher, and they're going to put more regulation in because of what's happened. Will that impact our local regional banks a lot? Will it make it harder for me here in this area to get a loan because of what happened with those banks?
Not necessarily, because the other thing that we need to think about, for example, Academy Bank does not invest in technology per se.
Mhm.
So their investments are in different areas. That's why they're so strong. So because even so we have 2 million, no, let me see, $2 billion in assets. So this Valley Bank, I believe, was it Simi Valley Bank? Can't remember the name of the
Yes,
bank
ma'am.
in
You're
California.
right.
They were into $14 billion in assets, but they failed because they invested in the wrong areas.
In a lot of the
So it
crypto,
shouldn't
only because
be.
the article
Mhm.
said so. Okay, only because they said
Right,
that.
right.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. No, it's not going to make it harder for our business owners to apply for lending. Of course, not with us.
Good, because it was just different stuff, and that's why people are concerned. Miss Brianna, please, and then Miss Bree, want to bring you in.
I have a question. So when that happens, how do you recover your funds if you do have money in a bank that's not FDIC? Or is it just a
Uh,
total loss?
it's a total loss,
Oh,
unfortunately.
wow. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really important that you guys pay attention to the FDIC coverage.
Learn something new today.
Yeah, that's probably the
Yes.
biggest takeaway from today's story, right? Is everybody should be checking if their bank is FDIC insured because they fumbled the bag, so to speak.
No, they did absolutely. And President Biden's come on several times, and he's talked about how even the individuals that had more than $250,000 in the banks, like the 1 million you talked about, and the rest probably wasn't insured, and then individuals that are in Signature and SBB that their deposits aren't FDIC insured. He mentioned that only again, I just read it because I'm not a banker, so I'm just reading it. It's so much. That's why I don't know. But he said it's not a bailout like it was in 2008, 2009. They're not bailing out these banks, but that somehow, I guess, all the banks in the country, especially that are FDIC, they put money into this fund. They have to do that, I guess, and so and they're using a lot of that money to give all those customers only their money. And they're saying they're going to get all their money. That's what he said. We'll see, because he said you're going to have it by this morning and in your accounts to make payroll, because that was a big deal. Got to make payroll. So people are concerned that if it kind of looks like a bailout, and so do we pay for that? So that fun thing, Miss Maria, do you know about that a little? Or FDICs banks have to put money in a fund to help us for stuff like that?
So for example, Academy Bank has a sister bank, Armed Forces Bank. So customers that are calling in asking about how much is insured, we're also having extra advice here where we could put some of those funds under Armed Forces Bank to make sure all their money is insured with us. We definitely want to help. So I believe it's extremely important. So every time I go and talk about the bank, and the very first question I say is like, who do you bank with? And and I get thrown different banks, and the second question, they ask me, so what's the difference between Academy Bank and the bank I bank with, right? For example, and I say, well, who's your banker? Whoever's on duty. No, you need to. It's very important you build a relationship with either manager or banker. So if you're ever unsure about what's going on, you could have somebody to reach out. And so, like I said, for Academy Bank, if we have to switch some of those funds into our sister bank just to make sure you're insured, that's something we're willing to work with our clients.
Excellent. No, thank you. Miss Bree, I see you have a question.
I mean, yes, ma'am. I mean, I don't know if this is directly something everyone can answer in this, but just considering everything's going on with the Fed and them raising their rates and this situation happening, I'm just wondering what ripple effect will it have in other parts of, the country, even more so like you guys were addressing, what is it going to do for banks that are or are not insured with the FDIC? But then, what political stance is that going to take? And then also, will it have effects on house rates? Because that's where it comes into play for me. and I'm hoping not.
Yeah. Because you're a realtor. I don't know if you said that part. Because
yes, I am your realtor, Bree. So yes, just in case you didn't know.
My takeaway is, all right, can we say that crypto is officially dead? Can we say that now? Because a lot of people lost money on this, and it seems that a lot of them were very wealthy, which is very surprising to Ms. Garcia's point that this was a bank, Signature Bank. This was a bank that was not FDIC insured, but a lot of wealthy people had their money in this bank.
Here's what's interesting. Then Ms. Garcia, please. Whoever, if they weren't an investor, they're going to get their money back. And so they've made that clear
If they
on
were
all.
not an investor.
Yeah. So like if I had 20 million in there, I would get it all back as a consumer. But if I was an investor, as like a stockholder, I won't get that back.
Right. It's important to say they will not get their money back. The people that invested, and like I said, most of them are wealthy, and they will not get their money back.
Correct.
And it'll be a write-off. Actually, no, because investments aren't write-offs because it's not, really an asset because it's a risk. Is that correct, Mr. Witt?
Depends on the type of asset. You can write off certain types of investments.
Okay. I was just wondering, thinking about Miss Maria, please talk to us. We're just talking.
Better them than you.
No, it's okay.
But yeah.
I mean, going back to the question prior to, I can't really know. I don't know about the mortgages, only but what I hear from my peers. They're saying they're not going to raise any rates anytime soon. They were going to go, I think, 2 basis points, but they're not going to do it anymore because of what happened with the bank. They're going to hold off. So I don't think mortgages are going to change, in all honesty. That's my personal opinion.
That's exciting. Miss Brana, you got a question.
I do. I just wonder, so is this something that they wouldn't make it to where banks have to be FDIC approved since this happened?
Well,
Like
you
it
would
could be a
think.
requirement, you would think.
Yeah, you would think it would be a requirement, right? But some of these banks, some of these investors just. So a funny story, I was told not so long ago, the reason why Academy Bank and the other like community banks started is because it was the owners who needed loans, and they were said no by other banks. So it seems like it was easy back then to, just start up a banking business, and some of them didn't do it the right way by not being insured. So I know I wish they were, like make them get insurance for their client.
No, excellent. It's interesting. Well, on this Yahoo News thing anyway, they had these speakers, and they were talking about with the Frank Dodd Act back in 2018. It used to do a lot of regulation, and so back in 2018, with that administration, they actually went in and began to deregulate a lot of the banking requirements for some of this that we're talking about. And if you're, sometimes kind of answer the question politically, but not really, not trying to do it that way, depending on some of who's in charge. If it's sometimes, rural rich people or people that are trying to help everyone, all boats rise, then sometimes, the regulations will go more towards the billionaires and all that type of stuff. So it was easy. So in 2018, a lot of the regulations that were put in place on purpose because of the 2008, 2009 collapse, financial and housing collapse. There were strict regulations. 2018, they were deeply reduced, which is kind of how then all those other the fintechs, all those things started coming up, quite a bit. And depending on who, sometimes who you are, what you got, you didn't do the regulation, which is kind of where we are again. But President Biden said, as did Yellen, the Fed treasurer, she says they're going to definitely put regulations back in. So that's what they said on TV. I just saw it on the news. That's all I know. I'm not their boss. Go, Mr. Whitney, please talk to us.
Oh no, I was just listening, Miss V, but you're right. A lot of the factors, a lot of the indicators that led to the 2008 housing crash is kind of, they say nothing goes out of style, right? It always comes back around. So if we know better, we do better. So this is why we're talking about money right now. We know this happened before. If you're watching, do not allow yourself to get locked into a mortgage that you cannot afford. Work with a great lender like Miss Bree. A great realtor who has great lenders on her team. Excuse me. To make sure that you can actually afford the house that you're getting into. Don't just let somebody sell you into a home, because a home is the worst thing that you can overpay for, right? You're overpaying for a home, and that mortgage is you're dreading paying that mortgage every month because you can't pay anything else. That's not a situation that you want to be in. So another takeaway that I'm getting from this conversation is that we should definitely do more business with community banks like Academy and credit unions. The interest rates are more fair. The customer service is better, in my opinion, and they're FDIC insured, right? So if something happens, your money will not be off in the wind. So I think those are some of the takeaways that I will personally take away from this conversation.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, please, Jasmine.
Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing. For Academy Bank, we also, for the business side of it, it works a little different when it comes to being insured. So because the business has its own EIN number, only the business will be insured up to $250,000, right? But we offer also sweep accounts and another accounts that are titled CDAR. So then that will make you be that. What would that do is insure your entire assets with Academy Bank. So we do extra work in the back end. And the way I understood it, when it was brought to me, for example, if you have a business that has more than $250,000 in assets in deposits, then what the bank does is they put some of your money in different banks on your behalf. So all your money is 100% insured when it comes to business accounts. I forgot to mention that.
Okay, cool. Because that could be why they were mentioning that on the TV thing I was mentioning, because those were like businesses and not individuals. Okay, but the great thing is that either way, Academy Bank, you can help us. Do you all do home loans also?
Yes, we do. Correct.
Okay. I was just checking. So okay. Because Academy Bank, they were one of the persons. Well, actually, they were one of the sponsors of the Yes She Can event. So that's the reason I remember Academy Bank, and all of that. So we're going to be following up on business type stuff. Miss Brianna, I want to ask you to talk with us a little bit while Miss Maria is still with us, and please know you can stay as long as you can, Miss Maria. But we also know you're busy, and we appreciate you so much. One of the things that we try to do a lot is to help our business owners to, and she is a business owner. All of us were business owners, but as we're doing more and more the emerging, thinking about once they work with Mr. Whitney, as far as with personal credit, and then with Mr. Johnson, with business credit, as they're doing all those things, helping them to get into position to get lines of credit or the business loans. And wanted to ask on behalf of Ms. Brunn, she may have other questions of her own, are there things that we need to be thinking about earlier, like now, if we're not ready for the loans? Like, should we be doing some things now to build that relationship with, whether it's Academy Bank or our bank for business loan purposes?
Maria, do you want to answer that from a bank's perspective?
Sure, yes. I actually took notes on this question. Bear with me. I think the most important thing that we want to do is, sit down with the banker, go through a series of steps, like know the business, right? Maybe write a business plan, third step would be raise capital. And then, if they need help with obtaining any permits, any, registering the business, Miss Anessa Brown and I usually pretty good at that. We go above and beyond for our customers. So I think just getting everything in regulated, having your permits, like I said, just getting everything straight. And like I said, just talk about our business plan. That's pretty
Maria,
much what
which
we could do
branch are you
to
at?
eventually. I'm sorry?
Which branch are you located at?
So I am in Lenexa, 87th and Lenexa.
Well, my goal is to move to Kansas, so.
Oh, there you go. We're more than happy to be your banker. But yeah, I'm here in Kansas City. But yeah, that's my input as far as what some of the things that they could work on before they could become, ready for lines of credit and all that good stuff.
So in terms of helping themselves become fundable as a business, can you go deeper into what they may need? Because a business plan it's good, it's a start, but that's not really an indicator of them being able to obtain a loan from you guys. So like, there's certain things that a business can do, whether it's their personal credit, business credit, their tax, making sure they have their paperwork in order, as you mentioned. What types of things should they do to be able to do business with you all? Obviously, one item is opening a business bank account, because a lot of entities do not consider you a real business until you have a business bank account.
Right, correct. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, first off, come in, we'll talk. Like I said, come up with a business plan, open the business account, maybe bring in, if it's an existing business, maybe they could bring in 2 years worth of taxes. We could definitely look at that and see what else do we need to do. For example, I have a customer I've been working with for a year now. And so we started with, opening the business account, then him and his partner needed a line of credit. So we're working towards that. So I tell him, now you need to work on your credit. Your credit personally needs to be a little more strong to be able to qualify for the line of credit. And
What
so
does that
I
number
went
look
ahead
like?
For the business line of credit.
For your personal credit to start off, where would you guys want it to be when getting a line of credit?
It's at 680.
Okay.
It's a 680. And so what we did is we opened a credit builder, a secure credit card for this particular customer. So we're not very far away. He's just about 25 basis points from being able to qualify for the loan because he had everything else on, what that was needed.
And is there anything on the personal? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is there anything on the personal credit that would need to be removed that would probably automatically disqualify you from getting that line of credit? And if so, like how long do it need to be before it was on there?
I believe so. Not really. So the good thing about Academy Bank is, everybody's different. Every situation is different, and we try to work with them as much as possible, right? So it's hard to know whether something will impact their credit enough to where we're going to say we can't lend you any money. So we really have to just take it customer per customer. And we do a soft pull prior to. So when they fill out the application, we do a soft pull just to make sure we could see, if there's anything before we hard pull their credit and then they get dinged for it.
This might be a good time for me to ask, is there a website or a phone number? People listening, because people are listening to us all over the world, and that's exciting.
Oh,
and so if
wow,
there,
yeah.
I mean, we are live. If
Oh,
there's
yeah.
any way people could contact you or website anything, and then Miss Paris, she will actually type that in for us, whatever you tell us.
Sure. So I have a phone number, could be 913-251-3136, or my cell phone, which is 913-944-9547. You guys can also reach me at my email, which is mflores, FLORES, @academybank.com. I also want to, if it's okay, I want to share Anessa's number too, so that you guys can have two resources. So Anessa's email, I don't have a number. Email, it's abrown@academybank.com.
Excellent.
Does Paris have that?
Miss Paris or Mr. Walker? Mm-hmm. Yep, we got it. And because we're talking about, of course, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, we love it for our KUAW technical announcing team to say hi to us and just remind people who we are and what you do for the community, please.
All right. Thank you guys for listening in on KUAW today. All right, I'm going to try that one more time. Thank you all for listening to KUAW. You can follow us on KUAW.org. Listen in. We're internet radio. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and you can also stream us on... Miss Walker?
And you can stream us on the TuneIn app, on Get Me Radio, and online radio box. And if you have a smart speaker, you can pick us up by telling your Google or your Amazon speaker to play KUAW Radio. And now back to Smart Money.
That's pretty exciting. One of the things that's really exciting, we'll talk a lot about it right now. We are finally going to be coming up to where we have a group of young ambassadors that study financial literacy, and they do financial Jeopardy competitions and all that type of stuff. And as Ms. Paris has been in training quite a bit, with Mr. Jeffrey and Ms. Dara and others under Mr. Walker, to learn how to do a lot of this, we are going to be starting our 4th Mondays, where our young leaders will actually be on deck with us. Kind of starting to share what they know. And one of our gentlemen, y'all have heard me mention his name a lot, Mr. KUAW, he's going to be our young ambassador host for that 4th Mondays. But we'll be helping him too. But we're really excited about that. And it's things like Miss Paris and Mr. Jeffrey and Miss Dara and her team. They're helping us to really get that ready so that y'all can see the younger people that are learning all this stuff too, and they're gonna tell you what they know, and it's really exciting. Anyway, I just want to share that, and we'll have him on deck, his picture and all that next week. but he's excited. Mr. KUAW's excited because he's always listening. He always does this. He always does everything. I just want to mention that we're trying to spread as much financial literacy as we can, just kind of to everyone, young, old, etc. And it's good stuff. So, Miss Bree, so because Miss Maria said that Academy Bank, they do home loans, maybe at some point we can go over there and check them out and see how, maybe they can do, who knows. But we're always trying, Miss Maria, to find different lenders as well that can help, whether it's me or anyone else, to get home, so we can have different people based on different circumstances that can help. So we had talked about after the event on Saturday. we're going to go over to Academy Bank. So we were coming over to see y'all.
Yes, please do.
We wrote down the address.
We're pretty excited about the information, everyone. So, okay. So Miss Bree, if you will, and any of us, because we were there, and Miss Paris, since you were there too, we mentioned, if you learn some good stuff, please, you give us some tips also, because our announcer can do that. Because you have the mic, Mike. So there were also, I talked about the business side for a moment, personal, but I went into business. What are some other things, Miss Bree, that you got from the Yes She Can conference that you want to make sure that everybody knows?
Yes, ma'am. Well, the most prevalent piece of information that I received was budgeting appropriately for my business. All too often when you start into real estate, they tell you the goal is to get in, sell the houses, to make sure, you fill out your contracts appropriately. Pretty much your basic requirement as a realtor. But when it comes down to the strategy and the building the business itself, that's not part of the training. They actually really don't offer up any of that information until you hit a certain, threshold as far as like what your take home is. But I find that is quite backwards, because what happens when I do hit that threshold and now I'm so busy, I don't have the time to build my business plan or to set my budget or to learn something that they were talking about, which was a P&L, profit and losses. Knew nothing about it, right? I just knew that what they discuss is delegating and giving those responsibilities to other folks. But I mean, I'm pretty sure, as any other, business owner on here can agree, you should know more. You should know about your business, not leave it in the hands of other people. I mean, give them the responsibility, but have a basic understanding. And just having that conversation with the ladies up there on the panel, it was just like mind blowing. So I've been working on trying to go back and track my history for my business, and making sure that I can set an appropriate budget, because traditionally for me, or like a traditional budget, doesn't work for me. I get paid as I work. There's no guaranteed pay every 2 weeks. So the biggest thing that I pulled from that was work your goals backwards. So set your goals, what you're wanting to achieve, and then legit take it step by step backwards and kind of lay out a plan to write it up. And I've already been doing that with my business, and it's helped significantly. So now I'm going to work it with my budget.
Amen.
Start with the end in mind. She was saying start with the end in mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Miss Paris, talk with us. Tell us something, one or two things you took from it, please.
Okay, so a few things I took from this conference. First of all, it's very moving for me in my personal life. For me to really get over a few humps and take that step forward to let some things go. So it wasn't just completely financially. We hit a lot of things personally for me as a woman. So I have figured out a different way to just truly let some things go and move forward, not only financially but mentally, so that I can take that time to really educate myself and rethink and feed myself with the type of energy that I need to be successful, not only in my business, but in my personal life and my kids' life and everything like that. So that was one thing I took. Another thing that I took from this conference really was education, and the amount of education and just helpfulness that you could get from being involved with one another, how you could build with each other. You don't have to pull each other down. You could build each other up. Um, Everybody has a network. Everybody has a system. You don't have to tell every single person what you're doing. But the people who you do tell, who are truly in your corner, they'll help you build, and they're not there for you to, they're not there to talk bad to you, but they're there to help build you up, uplift you, and help you achieve your dream while still being very honest with you if you're not doing what you need to be doing to get to where you need to go.
That's right.
Whether it's good, bad, or the ugly, like, no, that you don't need to do this, and being able to be receptive of that. Um, and another thing I took from it was just networking opportunities. Like, you don't understand how many people are really out here trying to work for you, not against you. Like, it's beautiful. It's just very beautiful, very moving, tearjerker 101. And I think another thing I received from this was you get to see another person who it looks like you succeeding. And a lot of kids don't get to see that. So how do I put myself in a position where the next generation can continue to see that? And I did speak with some of the panelists outside of the conference after the fact, and they were happy that I was there because they were saying they need people like me to reach the next generation because they may not be listening to them. So that was like kind of nice to hear because I don't feel like I'm that in between sometimes, but it was nice to hear it from somebody else sometimes. So yeah, yay.
Yay! And you're always impacting the young people, Miss Paris. Now whether you like young people like that, no, but you're always training them, and you're honest with them too. So like you're saying, I'm being honest with us about our stuff. You're an honest, direct person, and so may not feel good to the young people all the time, but you're like telling them, look, y'all, and they are listening, and like come back, and so they're excited to do what you're doing over the spring semester and the summer. So they're going to see this is good stuff. Okay. Y'all, we got 10 minutes. So what I want to do for sure is Miss Maria and Mr. Whitney. I definitely want to first say thank you, Mr. Whitney, again for inviting us to the conference, only because we did not know about it, and so as Miss Pierce is speaking about the networking and all that, if we don't know what's out there for us to go to and do, how do we go get the nuggets and the gems and then pass them on? So really thank you for that. And I know we try to do it for each other, but I want to make sure that we're also saying thank you and going to support you, with what you're doing, too.
No, I appreciate you guys coming out, and I'm so glad that you got something from it. We all go to we have a lot of meetings, we have a lot of Zooms, we have a lot of phone conversations, and sometimes we don't get nothing from it. So I'm glad you guys got something that you can take home and apply, because it's all about action, right? A lot of people talk, but it's all about what action you apply back to your life that will translate, like Paris was saying, to the next generation, or even just the people that are in your sphere of influence.
They can watch us. And of course, we knew that we met Academy Bank there, meaning they had a booth and they talked on the stage. But we also, right with us, we have Miss Maria here from Academy Bank. And Miss Maria, we really, really, really thank you for coming talking with us on short notice as well, because you have so much information, and we need that data because we're all on this. We've been on this journey for several years together anyway, probably even longer, individually, but to be financially fit and to get houses and business loans we need to make sure that we know the banks that we can go to, talk to, that will work with us. I like how you talked about, you asked a person, so who's your banker? So please talk with us a little more, and make sure that how we can reach you and what you can do, whether it's for personal home stuff or business. We want to plug you because you're here helping us to understand stuff. So please.
Oh, Yes, I'm happy to be here, and I'm sorry about not being able to turn on my camera. I promise next time I'll be more prepared to be able to take it on my computer and see you guys could see me and just keep asking those questions every time you go to a bank and just say, are you guys insured? And like I said, I'll leave my number one more time. It's 913-944-9547. Feel free to call me or text me, whatever works. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Even if you guys don't bank with Academy Bank, I'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions you guys might have. I
So
spoke
how
with
much does it start? How much does it cost to start an account at Academy Bank?
It takes
Personal.
$100. $100. If they set up for personal, if they set up direct deposit, then I usually don't ask for initial deposit if they don't have it at the time. But that's what
That's important.
Academy
No,
Bank
thank you.
requires. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Miss Brianna, please, any thoughts or questions? I mean, make sure people know how can you help these businesses out here? Because you're an emerging business and we want to make sure people know you and what you're doing.
I'm just sad that I was sick and couldn't make it. And I'm just so mad. Just keep sending me the next one so I can make sure I'm there. But for
I did
me,
invite you, right?
you did. I got sick Wednesday just out of nowhere. My throat started hurting. And then I got better. And then my son was with his dad. And he called me Saturday morning at 5 a.m, like, come get me. My stomach's not feeling well. So I don't know what happened. And then it was like a whole 24-hour bug or something. But you did invite me, so keep inviting me. Because for me, I'm wanting to be around like-minded people, and I want to be able to build connections and network with people. I'm in the trucking industry to where I help owner operators who are wanting to own their own trucking company, or if they have a truck and they were leasing with someone else and now they're wanting to go out on their own. I make sure that they get in compliance. So I'm trying to save them money so that way they're not paying fines and citations and they can keep what they're earning out on the road versus having to pay every time they get stopped by DOT. So I help them with all the paperwork. They don't like doing the paperwork. Even the women truckers don't like doing the paperwork. So that's what I'm here for. I'm using my administrative gifts to use. I've gotten in the trucking industry about 2 years ago, and I do it for my full-time job. And now I'm really urging and wanting to do it for myself on an entrepreneur level. So I'm just happy that Whitney have connected me with such amazing people, and I'm just excited and eager to continue to grow.
You are amazing. Remember, I said you have to talk. I said you might have to tell us in 30 seconds or so. She said, I don't have one, but you did it. You did it excellently. You did excellent. I know what you do. So I know we're down to that one minute that marker. And so please, our announcers, tell us again, like KUAW, like what are y'all doing and for the community, and who are you? Please.
All right. Thank you for listening on KUAW, Smart Money News and Business Reviews. You can follow us on KUAW.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And you can listen to us on, TuneIn Radio, and probably about 3 other ones that I'm still struggling with remembering. And you can also tell Siri, you can tell Alexa, all of those smart speakers to listen in on KUAW, and you can find us on Roku TV as well.
TV. Oh, I didn't know that one. Amen. Miss Bree, say something to us really quick. Remind us what you do.
Well, I am your realtor, Bree. I am licensed in Kansas and Missouri, so I am that person that's going to help you find your home. Outside of that, this has just been a really great show. Thank you so much, Miss Maria. Thank you, Miss Brianna, and thank you, Mr. Whitney, and of course, Miss Valencia. And you're doing your thing, Miss Paris. Amen.
Mr. Whitney, tell us what you do, please.
Whitney Morgan, owner of Empowerment Solutions. I'm going to get you in a position to buy a home and get your business in position to do business with Academy Bank.
Amen. And we met Miss Brianna, Mr. Maria, yes, through Academy Bank. Valencia brought us. I'm with the Broadus Law Office. I do real estate, estate planning, and probate. Some, I do a lot of business consulting for a lot of my legal clients. But at the end of the day, I want to help us all to be as financially fit through all of our financial empowerment business leaders. And I appreciate everybody being on deck. Seriously, Miss Maria, we're going to be coming to see you because we got to get some more houses and businesses. Miss Brianna, we'll see you soon. Miss Bree, thank you. You all please have a good night. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you like forever.
Good night. Thank you, Miss V.
Good night, Mr. Walker.
Bye.